Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, for the SGDQ 2020 Games Committee. My name is Zojalix, and I'm going to be presenting you with the Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 All Holocrons submission video for SGDQ 2020. This will be a commentated run over my PB and also the current world record video. And one thing you know about this run before we get started is the game is super unstable, and so there will be no use of regular FMV cutscenes throughout the run. And the reason for that is because the game is prone to crashing, we made some adjustments to our config file on Steam in order to help fix the crashes, and did it work, so that way we could actually do runs. So it is something that the mods determined legal, just so that way we could set it up to make more and more runs happen. So, without further ado, we will go ahead and get started with the run. The run starts upon confirming difficulty. You'll notice we use a load list timer, so that will be set up that way. We use a load list timer, and that's what you will be seeing there in the side. Another thing so the way that the Force Unleashed 2 works is you have 4 primary abilities. You have your lightsabers, you have Force Lightning, you have Force Push, and you have Force Dash. And we use those in a lot of different combinations throughout the run. And you will be seeing that a lot. You kind of see like a little bit of a showcase of the basic abilities in the tutorial section.
Yes.
And
I can't.
so yeah, this game has got a pretty small community. The main people who have been optimizing it have been myself, Lifelike, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's like at least Agile Rogue is his name on Discord. So shout outs to them for just all the work that they put in to this game. And we have a quick little unskippable cutscene that we are going to have before we go into our falling section. I'll explain the falling section as we get closer to it. But for now would be a good time to turn it over to donation reading.
First success, but it seems you want to suffer the same fate.
What will you do with me?
Alright, so we're coming up onto our falling section. There are 3 falling sections throughout the game, and I will explain each and every one and their different quirks as we get onto each and every one of them. But for this first one, we're just going to go over to the right side, and we're going to mash dash and actually also do some proper timing with it to help ourselves not get hit, because every time we get hit we lose a couple of seconds, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to be trying to properly time our dashes. As you can see, I got hit there once, which slowed me down, and we don't like that. So I like to call this game Waifu Wars, and the reason for that is because for the plot of this game is entirely centered around the character Juno, which you saw her already take in that robot shape. Darth Vader wants us to kill her. We don't want to kill her, so we get mad, and we're going to run away from Darth Vader and try and find our waifu. So now we're into like our normal segments of every single level, and that takes place. And first of all, we've got a little cutscene skip coming up. You'll see us kind of take this weird, awkward side route here. That is because there is a cutscene trigger right there, and we can skip right over it. Pretty easy to do. So now we can talk about movement. Movement in this game is actually really unique. It actually is what introduced me to using the claw style of controller grip. And the reason why it's super unique is what we do. So we use the left bumper to dash, and with the left bumper to dash, at the end of every single dashing animation, we kind of stop for like a split second. And in order to prevent ourselves for stopping for that split second, we do what is called dash canceling. And what dash canceling is when we get to the end of our forced dashes, we jump, and then we immediately dash afterwards to keep our height very close to the ground, and we cancel out that animation. And it comes in super handy throughout the run. So now I can explain a little bit about each and every holocron, since this is all holocrons. There are 4 types of holocrons throughout the game. There's saber crystals, health upgrades, force upgrades, and then experience holocrons. The health upgrades are green, force upgrades are blue, saber crystals are red, and experience points are yellow. The routing in this is actually still really similar to any percent. There are a couple of things that we aren't able to do because this is all holocrons, and if we were to do like a skip or something in any percent, we would actually miss the holocron. But even still, the strats that we use for those segments are still pretty cool. So here we try and throw a box into his screen that helps to, I guess, speed that up, but we messed it up. Like, it's a really tough thing to do, and you typically don't get it, and if you do get it, it only saves like a second. So now we're on our first major skip of the game. This skip is actually really hard. What we're going to be doing is, you see that turret over there. We're going to jump onto that turret, and then jump on over an invisible wall to help us skip a lot of fights that we would have to do, which saves probably about 30-40 seconds. Actually, no, probably saves even more time than that. So now that we've we've gone over the invisible wall, we're going to be doing damage boosts. If we take enough damage, the game will reset our jump counter. And so with that, we are able to jump over those force fields and save a lot of time. And then here we're doing a double jump, triple slash combo to skip another small platforming segment, and then we can grab the last couple of holocrons for this level and make our way to the end of the level. And so here we have like what is just a dashing segment, which is where if we go too slow we die, but because we're speedrunners it really doesn't matter too much. Now, an interesting thing to note about this game is one thing that you guys probably wouldn't have noticed if you're not familiar with this game, is we actually skipped a required fight throughout the game, in the game. And the reason for that is because the way that this game works is if you go too fast, sometimes enemies don't spawn. Which can make things really interesting, especially when we get into the later stages of the run where there are less skips that happen, but more movement-focused things. We actually have to move in a way properly in order to skip some fights, but we also sometimes are going to have to reload checkpoints because otherwise we soft lock the game. Like for an instance here, as you saw when it did the camera pan, there weren't 2 ATSTs, but now that we reload the checkpoint, there are going to be 2 ATSTs there, and we have to kill them in order to finish the level. So we've reloaded the checkpoint, and now we're going to dash cancel our way to the end of the level, in which we're going to get a little bit of a showcase of our Force Rage ability. We just activate it. It makes us do a fartload of damage, to which we can just delete these ATSTs. They will die virtually instantly, and then there are going to be a couple of ships that are bringing troopers in. We're going to kill them, and then that will be the end of this level. And we will then be making our way to Kato no Moida, the Eastern Arc. So we're going to have a quick loading screen here, which will allow us for some time to read probably one more donation. Actually, yeah, one more donation. So, Kato no Moida, the Eastern Arc, is a level that is known famously for the amount of damage boosts in it. Like, we're going to be seeing that a lot. A lot of damage boosts are going to happen. Specifically, there's one coming up right here. There's this walker that's going to show up. And normally what the game wants you to do is to deflect its missiles that it shoots at you. And kill it. And then force grab the bridge. We can actually skip that by just getting hit with a missile, which will reset our jump counter, and then dashing blast. Another thing you will know that I do is when I need to suspend myself in the air, I do 2 jump slashes to give myself a little bit of extra time in the air, and then I push and hold lightning. That will suspend my position to where I will hover where I am at, allowing me to stay up in the air longer, which gives more time for missiles to hit. And so here we have to kill these Sith Acolytes. They're annoying, so we just kind of yeet them off the edge. They actually are immune to force powers. They will block every single force power that you use unless they are knocked down. And it's just easier to just use our regular grapple ability to throw them off. And so we've got another damage boost here. We're going to Dashing Blast, suspend ourselves in the air. And we can Dashing Blast over, which puts us here. Skipping a small little segment of Force Grips. But again, we still got to grab the Holocron. So we're going to grab the Holocron there. And then we're going to unlock our Lightsaber Throw ability. And Lightsaber Throw is going to become a really key ability in the early stages of the run, specifically when we get to the Gorog fight. And so what you guys just saw right there was a attempt at a long jump that I actually failed. What a long jump is, well, I failed it, but I didn't. I hit the checkpoint, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But anyways, what a long jump is if you use your force dash going off of an edge, let it yourself fall, and then you use jump, you can dash again, which will increase your jump distance by a lot. And so there we're going to damage boost off that shield to skip a little segment and come over here. So anyways, the reason why, even though it looked like I was falling to my death, but I still ended in a spot where I actually was where I wanted to be, was because there was a checkpoint there. And the checkpoint saves the game at my last known spot. And so I can reload the checkpoint there by quitting out and going back into the game, or switching my costume. And it allows me to save a lot of time. It allows me to save time because even though I technically didn't land the long jump, I'm still where I need to be. And so here, there's a required fight that we have to do, but the enemies haven't spawned. So we got to reload the checkpoint to make the enemies spawn. Otherwise, we would be soft locked. So here we're going to kill these guys, and then we're going to come here to this fight. This fight's really interesting because the only thing that the game actually expects you to kill are the walkers. And so we're going to do a fully charged lightsaber throw because that will do a lot of damage. And while we're waiting for our lightsabers to come back, we are going to shock lightning at them to continue to do damage. And then once the walkers are dead, we're going to actually trick the game again, because the walkers die. It's going to load a checkpoint. It's going to bring up a checkpoint, which is going to set up what's supposed to be the next segment of the fight. So you're going to see this small little cutscene where this elevator door opens. Normally that door, the elevator wouldn't move, but because we reloaded the checkpoint, for some reason the game lets you go on. And so that speeds that up, allowing us to be here before we're supposed to be. And so now we got our next dashing segment of the game. This one is actually the hardest. There are only 3 dashing segments in the game like this, but this one is easily the hardest because you have to be really careful with the way that you dash across. And also, because this is all holocrons, you have to grab the holocron, in which I barely saved that, keeping myself alive. And if we were to miss that, we would have to restart the level completely over, which would lose a lot of time. And so now we're in the casino. Normally in any percent there would be a casino skip that we would do, but because there are holocrons, we can't skip it. But there are actually a lot of interesting fights and stuff that we take. This is probably the most unoptimized segment of the run, just because I'm the only all holocrons runner. But essentially what we're going to be doing is running over here, grabbing, breaking that little elevator glass, and then moving to each and every new segment of the casino, grabbing the holocrons that are there, and then killing certain enemies to progress. And so since we upgraded lightsaber throw, it does a lot more damage, And we need to kill these riot troopers quickly, so we use our grapple ability to drop them on the ground, and then we stab them. And that finishes, that is, as far as I know, the fastest way to kill them indoors. And then we're also just going to be killing more of these stormtroopers here. Stormtroopers die really easily. And then the shield is going to go down, and we can progress our way to the next segment of the casino. In which now we're at the end of the casino. And we don't really need to worry about killing these enemies. I don't know why I threw that guy's shield, but I did. And then this segment is actually really annoying. So this carbonite droid here is going to put carbonite over the door, and we have to break it. And the only way we can break it is with force push, but our force push is level 1, so it's not that strong. And so we have to break it without, and the carbonite droid does that. And we just need a little bit of a hole to let us get through. And we're going to come here, destroy these slots, which is going to give us a costume holocron, the only costume holocron in the game. And then we're going to do the last dashing segment and move on to the tram. The tram is basically an auto-scroller. So what's going to happen is there are going to be TIE fighters. We're going to blow up the TIE fighters. And then there's going to be a missile deflecting segment where this other ship is going to shoot missiles at us. So we just stand in the right spot and deflect the missiles. So now is a great time to read a bunch of donations. I would say probably about 3 or 4. So now that we have finished up the Eastern Arc, we will now move into the Western Arc, which is really similar to the Eastern Arc. We'll be using a lot of damage boosts and stuff to make it through. There's also a damage boost segment to get a Holocron. I think that's something kind of unique to all Holocrons with the way that we do that. So again, with these shields, we face plant right into them to help reset our jumps, allowing us to skip a lot. Here we use the shots from the snipers, allowing us to skip another massive platforming section. And then here's the Holocron that we're going to be damage boosting. The intended way to do it is by moving some of those boxes using force grip, but that's, I think, it not only is it well, I don't know if it's necessarily faster to use the damage boosts, but sometimes the boxes just won't cooperate with you. And so now we have the bridge. The bridge has a lot of skips to it, and what we have to do is we have to avoid the invisible wall in the bridges. So like right away what we've done is we jumped under the bridge, hit the checkpoint, and now we're switching costumes to reload our checkpoint. And now we're already onto the second bridge. And with this, there is an invisible wall that we jump over, that we dash over like that. And there's a holocron here, so we have to grab that holocron, and then we will be forced dashing our way over. We utilize the fact that we can dash off the ledge and dash back without having to reset our dashes, and that comes in super handy. But these skips are easily not easily the hardest skips in the game, but some of the hardest skips. And you can see kind of here, especially with that one right there, that one is the most difficult because normally in any percent that ship doesn't move, and we can just jump over using we can use the ship to jump up and then damage boost using snipers. But since we reloaded the checkpoint here, the snipers that we would normally damage boost from aren't there, so we have to get it this way, which requires a lot more precise of a lineup, and that's why it takes a couple more tries. And so now we have this ship fight. This ship is annoying. Nobody likes this ship at all. But we speed this ship fight up by force gripping missiles at it, and then reflecting the one missile that comes, and then we button mash, throw it off to the side. And so normally the way that you're intended to dodge this sort of laser barrage that it does is by stepping behind that stone. But by dash canceling back and forth like this, we actually don't get hit that often. And we're like pretty well set. Into that other pillar, and that ends that fight. And so we have a couple of holocrons to grab in this room, and then we'll move on to the first major boss fight, which is the Gorog in Tarkosei Arena. But the way that we have to actually go about this fight is we're going to be going up in this elevator. Well, the way that we go about grabbing these holocrons is because they're in such a weird spot, we actually have to ride the elevator twice, which is a little bit annoying, but that's just kind of the price that we have to pay in order to properly do all holocrons fast. That would be one of those places where I would like to find a better strat for, but just unfortunately I don't know what could be used. And so here now we're riding the elevator to the end of the level, and we ride the elevator. We are able to hit the end level trigger faster by jumping, because it only matters when our head touches the loading zone for the next level, not the elevator. And so now we have the Gorog fight. There are no holocrons in the Gorog fight. And so, but the Gorog fight takes place in 3 phases. There's shackles, supports, and then our second falling section. The shackles is pretty self-explanatory. We're gonna blast the Gorog in the face with lightning. He's gonna slam his fist down onto the ground. We're going to blast the shackles with lightning, and then we're going to mash B to force push his hands up and lock the shackles into place. After we do that, we have to do a little quick time event to do quite a bit of damage to him, and then we rinse and repeat, and that is the end of that. So now is another really good time to read donations. finished up. Well, we've almost finished up the Sacco section. There's just a small quick time event that we have to do here to rip off this little like patch that he has to help. I don't know exactly what, other than, well, I guess there's a little gash there, but we're gonna stab the gash, and it's gonna really make him angry to the point where he's gonna break his shackles, and we're gonna move on to the supports. The supports segment is probably the biggest chunk of RNG in the run. Like, there are a lot of, oh, where does my brain want to go with this? Well, so, excuse me. So, the support segment, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hitting the Gorog with a fully charged lightsaber throw, and then blasting him with lightning to advance the phase, because we have to do a certain amount of damage to him. But the RNG can be kind of frustrating because we need him to do a specific type of attack, otherwise he will hit us just with the position that we're in, because we can't move while we're charging up our lightsaber throw.
Whoa, wait, that'll bring the whole structure down.
Got a better idea?
Not so much, no.
And so what we end up doing is we double jump up here, specifically for if he does a specific type of attack. And right there, we were fast on that. So that attack right there, where he slams his hand palm down, that is the most optimal because he'll slide his hand across, and if we have double jump distance, then we won't get hit. But there are other attacks that he can do where he'll punch his fist at a specific spot, and that one's a lot harder to avoid, especially when we're already in our fully charging our lightsaber throw. So we've got one more, so we just got to do this one more time before we end this support segment. So he's done that. We're going to jump up here. We're going to destroy this last support, and then we're going to have a cutscene that we can actually move around in. So like right here, we're going to fling back, and then we can actually move while this little cutscene is happening, in which I fell to my death. Unfortunately, that happens because you have a really funky camera angle, and so to try and line yourself up in the right way is really hard. But we just reload the checkpoint, so like I fell right through that small hole. But we reload the checkpoint, and we're good to go. So we have this short cutscene before we get into our last falling section. In this falling section, we're going to be going up against the Gorog. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be force dashing down to get to a specific point where the camera will switch. We'll kind of do this cool little like spin in midair, and then we're going to be throwing our lightsaber in lightning, because like I said before, you can shoot lightning while your lightsabers are being thrown. And so we're going to be utilizing that.
I can't get free.
We're going to first of all be just straight dashing down to get to where we need to be. And you'll see we'll do our cool little spin.
Hurry up.
And then we're going to be doing a lot of damage here. And then we went to repeat for the end of the fight. So now is another really good time to read more donations. So now we kill the Gorog by mashing A to charge up a massive force dash, in which we're gonna fling ourselves straight through his stomach to kill him, save Ram Koda, and then we're gonna go find our waifu. So now we're in Dagobah. Dagobah's got really nothing special to it. We're just going to be doing some Holocron wrangling and then moving to the end. It's a super short level. Well, before we go find our waifu, we have to go find ourselves. We don't know who we are other than we're a clone. Then we're a supposed clone of Starkiller. And so we're going to go seek some wise counsel. Well, not really seek some wise counsel. We're going to go cave exploring. And then we're going to go find our waifu. Like I said, we just gotta grab some Holocrons, and then we will be at the end of the level. And that's Dagobah. Really easy. Good claps for that one. Hardest level in the game right there. So, now the game is going to be switching gears. As you've seen where we've been doing a lot of more skips focused segments where there's been a lot of damage boost skips and the bridge skips, the massive skip and escape where we skip the fights. Now the game is going to be totally switching gears to be a lot more movement focused. In this instance, our dash canceling is going to become a lot more important that we do well, because we're in a segment where there are a lot of fights that can happen. But if we go fast enough, those fights don't happen, and we don't want those fights to happen. So we are going to be dash canceling a lot to try and make our way through to the end of the level, and make our way to the points where it's the fastest. Make our way through this area. So, like I said, this is a lot more movement focused part of the run, where our focus is on making sure that we do our movement smoothly, we hit the points that we need to hit, and like, that's the most important part. Especially, too, we gotta move really fast, because our waifu is gonna get kidnapped. And you don't kidnap the waifu. This is waifu wars. You don't kidnap our waifu in waifu wars. Otherwise, we get mad. And when we get mad, it ain't pretty for the people who make us mad.
We have to reach the bridge!
We've lost power to several areas of the ship.
I knew this was gonna happen. We should have warned her.
We can still save her. Let's go. What's going on?
Captain, send a security detail to Hangar Bay 7.
So we're gonna make our way where we need to go. We're at the bridge. Our waifu's not here. This is bad juju. Short little unskippable cutscene, so we can go ahead and read a couple of donations as well.
Master? I thought you were dead.
Oh, it's a very long story. Captain Eclipse and Senator Organa, they found
Juno. Where's Juno?
I don't know. The Imperials must have taken her towards Deck 7.
The docking bay.
Order the attack, General.
Master! Be careful.
What's the situation, General?
A bounty hunter is taking Juno to the hangar bay. We've lost all communication with that section of the ship. It appears this bounty hunter is accompanied by...
Bounty hunter took the waifu. We gotta go get the waifu back. So here we're gonna be trying to, there's a little, like, recoil animation when we hit the ground because we're gonna be falling for a while. We aren't able to get it. It only loses like a second. It's not that big of a deal. So we have these terror droids coming up. We're actually going to negate one of them jumping out and hurting us by dashing blast into the room. We're going to grab our little electric power conduit, put it in its little generator slot, except for the fact that we get jumped on, so we're not. We gotta go and give it a little bit more of a push. So yeah, the Terror Droids, they're annoying. They're really, really annoying. And so we get 20,000 EXP where we can upgrade our lightsabers. So we're gonna upgrade our saber damage. That will come in handy for the boss fight at the end of this level, because we got our next major boss fight. Our second major boss fight in the game is going to be showing up at the end of this level. And we're just going to continue to dash cancel. And so like here's one instance where the dash canceling is really important. We're moving through the level. And there's going to be this little cutscene here where they introduce Terror Troopers. Terror Troopers are really annoying enemies, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about them because when we do what we need to do, even though this cutscene happens, the Terror Troopers don't spawn. And if they don't spawn, we're in a really good spot. So we're going to push the little power conduit over to where it needs to go. And start dash canceling more to the end of the level. You're probably wondering, hey, this is all Holocrons. Where are the Holocrons? Well, we're working on that. So here we can actually extend our hitbox with the Dashing Blast and clip through the little canister there, allowing us to get that Holocron really quickly. I don't actually know what the actual way to get it, because the first time I got it was when I started routing this category. And I was just like, we're gonna Dashing Blast to see if that'll destroy the canister, and instead we clipped through and it gave us a Holocron. So here we did that Force Repulse. That destroys this. We have a split second while we have to wait for the door to open, and so by using our Force Repulse, we destroy all of that stuff there, then we don't have to worry about destroying it right at the end of this cutscene. And then again, there would be more Terror Troopers that would spawn here, but because we went really fast, we don't have to worry about them spawning.
There's something there. Something big.
That's where I'm going.
I could have done this.
And so here we got a small little segment of platforming. I think this segment of platforming is actually really cool. But we're first going to Dashing Blast to our death to skip that cutscene. We're going to jump right there, which is going to give us that blue back to tank. And then here we've got a little bit of a skip where normally you would have to go and open this door. But by double jumping and then Dashing Blast, we don't have to worry about that at all. And so now we're in our first maintenance duct. Maintenance ducts have a lot of small skips to them. Normally they would be very cycle-based. But as you can see, we can kind of fit our way through. Well, at least we can try. But then what we do is we're able to dash sort of in like these little corners, which allows us to slip through and not get hit. But here we have to wait for the cycle because there's a Holocron here and we need it. Then you'll see us skip these little segments that we would normally have to wait the cycles out. And then here, I'm going to dash my way through and then realize how big of a mistake that was because I almost died. And then we got a really hard jump coming up here. We have to double jump here, dash to land on top of that turbine, and then dash forward. That jump is a lot harder than it looks. But we've now made our way to the end of the ship segment, and then we're going to go into the next major boss fight of the run, which is the Terror Walker.
No! Coda, they're gone. Send the order to attack or I will go without you.
Already done. I've told the Alliance we have just this one chance to strike. The fleet will converge on Camino. But you know, Vader is luring you back to him.
Yes, I know, but he won't be expecting the entire Rebel fleet.
My thoughts as well. Let's hope we're right. Prepare for light speed.
So remember when I said this game was unstable? Yeah, no, the game didn't crash. We're actually resetting the game right now because the game is unstable. It gets to a certain point and then the game crashes. But yeah, we reset the game right here because that helps us, like, we don't have to worry about the game crashing then if we just restart the game. And so we reload the segment. There'll be the cutscene that'll start the fight, but we skip it by reloading the checkpoint. And then we get to the Terror Walker fight. The Terror Walker fight is the worst. But what we have to do is we're going to try and manipulate it in a specific way. We're going to be going a little bit slower to be moving across here. I think I actually did it wrong in this run, because we need the Terror Walker to be in a very specific spot. And yeah, I did it wrong. I went too fast.
You can create an electromagnetic pulse with those pylons.
In which I didn't really have a choice except to try and risk it, but that didn't work because it didn't grab what I wanted it to grab. So we're waiting for the Terror Walker to be in the right spot, so that way we can lift this pylon. But I do it really poorly. I don't know why I did it so poorly in this run, but I did, and I lost a lot of time because of it. But as you can see, we manipulate him to go into the right spot. We lift it up, which then lowers his shield. And then what we're going to do is there are these explosive... I don't remember if I do the explosive canister strat. I do. Okay, so there's these explosive canisters. We're going to pick them up and then try and hit the Terror Walker with them, because that will do a lot of damage to where he will immediately drop down, which is what we want. And then we're going to be using 3 slashes and then a lightning slash. The reason why we do the lightning slash is that kills the terror droids that are right behind us. And then the power conduits are going to come off the little generator, but then we're going to dash our way over to them, pick them up, put them in the slots, and continue on with the fight. And so that's pretty much the Terror Walker fight in a nutshell, so you can go ahead and read more donations while we finish it up. So that's the Terror Walker fight. It's pretty simple. Sometimes the explosive canisters can be a little bit annoying. We're going to dash over here, grab our Saber Crystal. And now we're at the end of that, and we're going to enter into the Battle for the Salvation. The Battle for the Salvation is another very movement-focused, movement-heavy, focused level. Yeah, that's really about all there is to explain as far as how it pertains to the run, other than the individual things that happen throughout the run. So to start this level off, we have a pretty decently sized required fight. We're going to be trying to kill these specific enemies. They're going to be introducing another Sith enemy that is kind of like a combination of the riot troopers and the Sith acolytes, where they can block both force and lightsaber abilities. And we deal with them quickly by grappling them onto the ground and then stabbing them. And we specifically want to kill the 2 Sith acolytes right away, specifically so that way when this cutscene happens, they don't run and reshuffle and do all this weird funky stuff. And so we're going to kill those guys, and then we're going to take out these tanks. And sometimes the ATSDs, I don't know why this happens, but sometimes their blaster fire will kill us, or not kill us, but knock us down. I don't know why that happens, because it happens very infrequently. So we're going to kill that guy, and then we're going to dash cancel our way over here, because there are going to be these scout troopers that are going to spawn, as well as a holocron, and we need to kill these scout troopers, and then we need to grab the holocron. And this way, we're right here the moment they come in and spawn.
Clear the next Star Killer. We need to get our fighters out there.
And we're able to grab that holocron, upgrade Mind Trick. You guys are probably wondering about Streamer. You've never ever used Mind Trick in the run other than when the game required you to. Why are you now suddenly upgrading it? Oh, you will see. That Mind Trick is going to come in really handy during the final fight against Vader. Which again, you're probably like, but Streamer, Vader's not weak-minded. It won't work on him. Oh, trust me. I has idea. So we're finishing up this fight.
Remove those boarding ships from the hangar doors.
And so we need to destroy these little those little ships, and we just need to destroy their locks. Their locks get destroyed with Force Lightning pretty easily.
I'm lifting the lockdown.
And now we're going to move on to our next maintenance hatch, where we do another group of maintenance hatch skips.
We have Imperial troops in the engine room. You need to clear them out before they disable the ship.
You can access the engine room through the drive core, Master. Look for a maintenance hatch in your vicinity.
So as you can see, we do our little dashes. We kind of utilize the fact that we get a slight bit of iframes. So now we're going to come up to our first raid, for another Force Rage segment. You've probably been wondering why we haven't been using that throughout the run, and that's because we don't kill any enemies, we don't actually use it very often. And so we set ourselves up in a spot here where we can spam Force Repulse with Rage, which makes this fight end instantaneously. And we actually tricked the game because we've killed all the enemies so fast. Even though we actually haven't killed them all, because not all of them have spawned, the game's like, oh, there are no more enemies. You must have killed them all. And so we did, and so sure, we killed them all. And so now, in order to do this platforming properly, we need to force this bridge down, but we kind of struggle with it because, I don't know, I guess I'm bad at video games or something. But this is all to get our waifu back. And so now that we've come here, we need to hope and pray that there's a magma droid that'll be here. There's not a magma droid because we go too fast. And it's great because if that magma droid wasn't there, or if that magma droid was there, it would be a pain to get that holocron. And then there I do a force repulse. That actually gives us some environmental damage EXP. And then there we're dashing over those mines to grab that force crystal. Force this power conduit over to open the door. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of this level for a while. So yeah, you can go ahead and read some more donations.
All troops to positions. Prepare for Imperial boarding parties.
This looks bad, Coda.
Leave the pessimism to Proxy. The guns are online and we're still flying.
Not pessimism, General.
Boarding pod in the gunnery, General. I'm on it.
Don't let them near the main cannon!
Prepare for Imperial assault.
So here we skip over this first gun because if we tried to grab its power conduit, it would get shot and blow up, and that wastes time. So we just go ahead and skip right away and go right on to the next one. Jump up here. We have one more required fight, but because we've been going so fast, if we were to go through, the enemies wouldn't spawn. And so we just jump right in and just go right ahead and reload the checkpoint because that's just easier.
Attention all stations. Imperials are
Because then we
boarding
know that they're spawned.
Locking down all vital areas.
So we have these jet troopers, we're just going to spam them with lightning. Kill them. That scout trooper apparently sticks to landing. He must be like a professional gymnast or something. And we leave that guy, and normally you would think, hey, that's slow. But no, we have another holocron we have to grab. And this holocron is significantly harder to grab than you would think. Because what we have to do is there are these boxes here, and we're going to have to set them in a specific spot.
Do I look like an engineer, General?
You're gonna look like orbital debris if you don't get that gun back online.
And if we set them in the wrong spot, we wouldn't be able to jump the way that we need to get to them.
Fire that thing by hand.
So we set that up. Now we're gonna go do this small quick time event to we're gonna do this small quick time event to fire the heavy cannon, and then we're gonna make our way to the end of the level where we're just gonna be force repulsing some terror droids for a little bit, and then we're at the end of the level.
Now get up here.
So now is a good time to read more donations.
It's a straight shot to the planet below, but you'll need to clear a path.
So, now we're in the last level of the game called the Return. We're all going to be heading back to we're heading back to Camino to get our waifu, and then we're going to be
Crew of the Salvation, we're going down.
but we have this
All hands
really
abandon
decently
ship.
long quick time event, and then we have the hardest chunk of the game. Well, with the hardest trick in the game, and it saves a couple of minutes, so it is very worth it. But what we're going to be doing is we have this quick time event, we have our last falling section, and then we're going to be doing the hardest trick. And I'm going to be taking a lot of time to explain this trick because of the fact that it is super complicated. So what's going to be happening? We're going to go through our falling section, and then when the falling section hits, it's done. We're going to land, the checkpoint's going to hit. We have to immediately reload the checkpoint. Once we immediately reload the checkpoint, we're going to start mashing our dash, because we have to dash cancel to get to the spot where the trick happens. And so what we have to get to the specific spot. So at the moment the small little cutscene ends, we're gonna force grip it, mash A, and we have to mash A super fast. Because if we don't mash A fast enough, then we will get shot by the turret and we will be unable to do the trick, and we have to reload the checkpoint to try again. This saves like 3 to 5 minutes, because we skip having to do this massive fight segment where we would have to go up, destroy the turrets, and then force the debris out of the way. This trick is extremely difficult. It is the hardest trick in the run, and it is absolutely necessary. And so, we're going to be coming up to it here. But first, this is what happens when you make Starkiller mad by kidnapping his waifu. He gets so mad that he's just got to yeet a TIE fighter. So he yeets the TIE fighter, and now here's the trick. Immediately reload the checkpoint. The reason why we reload the checkpoint is because the checkpoint will give us immediate movement right out of the loading screen. Whereas if we waited, we wouldn't have movement right away, and we would have less time to make it to where we need to before the cutscene happens. And so this is the trick.
I hope this is worth it. We've committed everything to this assault.
She's worth it, General.
This is bigger than you and Juno, boy.
Mash,
We're fighting a war.
and we got it.
This is your war, General. I'm only here for
So we
one
throw
reason.
those to the side. that gives us access to the door. There are a couple of holocrons we have to get. There's going to be a short unskippable cutscene of the elevator door opening and the tank that wants to come through, but there's a massive door, there's a massive thing of rubble there, so it won't be able to get through. Then we have to come here, grab these 2 holocrons, and that is how we make it through the hardest trick of the game.
General, I'm making my way into the city. I have to find Juno.
Again, that looks really easy, but it's stupidly hard.
Lock down all access points.
And so now
Star Killer, we're in the security
we have this
center
really
across
long
from you.
section, because
After we
normally
take
in
out
any
these
percent
Imperials, we'll
we would
deactivate
skip this
security
massive
screens in
chunk.
your sector.
But unfortunately, there is one holocron in here, in this really long segment of fights. And so we have to make it through this entire segment of fights. And so, this leaves a lot of time to do donations while we go through and do
Make
a
your way
bunch
to
of
Command
different
Center.
fights.
We'll meet up there.
I'll destroy anything in my way, General, but I'm going after Juno.
Security forces to your station.
Star Killer, Imperial snipers have us pinned down. Can you help us out? All right, we're deactivating the security screens in your location now. You should be able to proceed.
So here we've got a pretty interesting, here we've got a pretty interesting segment. There are going to be gunships that are going to be showing up in order to,
Is there another way around?
Let me see what I can do.
so first of all we got to go grab the holocron, and then we got to kill all these guys. And then there's going to be this ship segment. This segment's honestly, I think, really cool because there's these 2 gunships that are going to show up, and normally you'd have to wait a couple of cycles, at least 1 extra cycle, to throw these TIE fighters into the gunships. But if you do it fast enough, you can throw the first one in sort of like a no-look shot, and then you can crumble up the other one and throw it. But I missed, and so I had to wait another cycle. So I had to wait for the second cycle. You destroy the gunships, and then you make your way to the end.
But there's still fierce resistance.
You have to give it to the Empire. They simply will not retreat. Hitting.
And then here we have 2 magma droids we're gonna have to kill.
Ah, the bridge is out, General.
Let me give you a hand.
Having trouble, General?
Just get over it.
What do you see?
Vader has her. There, at the top of the city.
The main access ways to the central city are locked down. I don't know how we're going to get up there.
I'll find a way, General.
Starkiller, I know you want to find Juno, but we need your help. One Jedi could turn the tide of any war.
I'm only here for Juno, General.
Blast it! We need you in the front lines!
The Imperials have regained control of the security centers. We're going to suffer heavy casualties.
So this is the moment where you really grow to hate Starkiller because he cares so much about the waifu. That he's willing to sacrifice a lot of other things for the waifu. So now here we have our final Force Rage fight that we do. And it's just sitting here and spamming repulse. But unfortunately, sometimes not all the enemies spawn. So you have to reload the check. Like, I probably will just reload the checkpoint right away from now on because that just makes it easier. So we finished that fight. We're gonna go grab this saber crystal.
Can't.
I know how you feel about her, but she's just one officer. We're going to lose the entire rebellion if you don't help us.
And now we're into this platforming section. This platforming section is a lot harder than I'm going to make it look. Alright, so first we have this jump. I don't actually remember if I get that jump. Okay, I do. So that jump is really hard, and then I mess it up because the game locked me on to that jump trooper, which made me not go where I wanted to, which made me fall, and rather than waiting for the death to happen, we just reload the checkpoint. So yeah, this platforming section is really tough. That jump is deceptively hard. Which you see, I eventually just give up on it and just go for the casual strat. Which you kill those guys, allowing that platform to raise up, and now you come up here. And now we've got a lot of spots where we're going to be skipping certain segments by double jumping and then doing our triple air slash combos. Before we grab our last holocron and go to the end of the game. We're gonna force this open. Now here we have a potential to lose like a minute of time because there's this door. And we have to do a similar strat to how we go through the one fight skip, and we need to make sure that that door opens before we get hit. If we get hit that second time before that door opens, we're stuck for a minute of time having to do this other fight.
You don't know what you're looking at yet. I told you, no one can clone a Jedi.
I hope you're right.
Don't you leave us here.
I can't wait any longer, General.
Listen to me. You can't do this alone, and we can't take this facility without you. We can do this together.
There's no time. I'm sorry, but you know that I have to.
And so now we've made it to the end of the level, in which we're going to begin our fateful fight with Darth Vader. Again, we've collected every single holocron, and now all we have left is to go through and fight Vader. And the first thing we're going to be doing is walking along to some quick time events and some flashbacks.
Don't go in there alone. The Dark Lord is waiting for you.
She's close, General. I am not stopping.
We're losing your signal, Star Killer. Just stop.
I'm done arguing, General. I have to do this. Judo! Judo! Where is she? Say something! Vader! Come out! Judo!
Who are you?
Judo, it's me!
You're a monster. A thing.
Judo, please!
And so now is a good time to read a lot of donations.
You're Vader's puppet. Just a body filled with the memories of a dead man.
Speak! What have you done to her? Why have you taken her? Face me, you coward! Juno!
So now that we've made it through here, we're going to go into the Darth Vader fight. And what happens in the Darth Vader fight is there are these clone zombies that you see. And we're going to be utilizing them. This is why we picked up the second level of Mind Trick. We're going to be Mind Tricking the zombies to attack Vader, which is going to open up opportunities for us to attack Vader. And we're going to be doing that to try and kill Vader really quickly. And that's pretty much the basics of the fight. It's really simple. It's a little bit difficult to execute. But yeah, Vader's going to bring the zombies out. We're going to mind trick them, and then we're going to kill Vader. Pretty simple aspect. There are a couple of like other things that we're going to be doing as far as like some real basic platforming, just to move us from one phase to the other. So like here, Vader's going to jump up here. We're going to force this platform down, and that's going to advance the fight to like the next segment. And that's really the basis of the fight. So at least for this segment, it's really simple. There's a potential for us getting into some force locks. We don't want those to happen because those cost a lot of time. And if they happen, you'll see it and how much time they cost. But we'll hopefully... I don't remember if I got into any or not during this PB run. So yeah, another good time to toss it over for quite a few donations.
I will always be your master, and you will always be a slave. Kill him. Hate is your ally. Destroy him. I... Now. I will always be your master, and you will always be a slave.
Yeah, you can also sometimes fall. It's pretty easy to do that.
You are a shadow of your former self. Destroy him.
So yeah, we finished up the zombie phase. It's pretty simple, and now we're getting into the last phase of the Vader fight and getting close to the end of the run. I know, it's sad, but unfortunately all good things need to come to an end. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to have this really long cutscene, and then we're going to be
Where is she?
Bow before me, or she dies.
we're going to be in Force Rage this whole time. And you'll see that in this cutscene. And this is where, so in the last instance where we didn't want to get lightsaber locks, in this one we do want to get them. And we need to get them in a very specific spot so we can shove Vader up against this lightning pillar and blast him with lightning, which will do half of his health in one saber lock, making the fight go real fast.
Kill General Lakota. If you refuse, the woman dies. You will return to me and give yourself to the dark side. If you resist, she dies. And when your training is complete, you will hunt down and execute the rebel leaders. If you fail, she dies.
Yeah, waifu ain't got none of that. She ain't gonna be my slave. She ain't gonna be no slave to Vader. But yeah, this is where Vader, he tips it. He ruins it. He kills our waifu. So now that this has happened, we're going to shove Vader back, have him come forward a bit to try and get him to lock. It's not always easy, and sometimes Vader does not like to cooperate with it.
Rise above this. She means nothing. Don't you want to know where you came from?
So we finally get our first lock.
Rise above this. She means nothing. Her death gives you strength. Embrace it.
I will tell you!
If you wish to join the woman, so be it.
As you can see, we shove him up against the pillar, and his health gets deleted. Then we're going to try for it one more time to finish him off.
She loved a dead man. She would have never loved you.
You will die where you stand!
We're going to push him up, blast him with more lightning. That finishes him off. And now we're going to go into the last quick time event of the game, which is really freaking cool. I really like this one, actually, because personally, I think this one is the best out of any quick time event that's used in any of the Force Unleashed games. But we're just going to whip our lightsaber to cut off his arm. He's going to try and whack us with his arm. He fails. Force pushes us. But yeah, I mean, this is the Vader fight. And then, once we finish up this quick time event, there's going to be one more cutscene, and that will pretty much be timed. We have one more input that we have to do. And then that will be the end of the run. Also, nice little factoid here is you don't actually need to push Y for this.
taken everything from me.
Your feelings for her are not real.
They are real to me.
Wait!
You want him dead as much as I do.
Yes, but not yet. Not until he's told us the Empire's secrets.
You want to take him prisoner?
To a hidden rebel base where we can interrogate him. Put him on trial for crimes against the true Republic. And then we'll execute him. To show the galaxy that we don't need to fear him any longer.
If I let him live, he'll hunt me forever.
He is the only one who knows if Starkiller really survived. He can't tell you he's dead.
And time. So yeah, that is Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 All Holocrons. I'm going to try and see if I can get the FMV cutscenes to go back in there without the game crashing, because that will allow for a bid war to happen for a dark or light ending that we can use. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see this run on the SGDQ 2020 stage.